Welcome back, everybody, to Cinema Daily US for another episode of America versus Europe. As I am Matthew here in America, in New York.
And I'm Chiara here in Europe, precisely Italy, Milano.
Chiara, thanks again for joining us. It's always great. Joining us, you know, we're both part of the team, but just be here to talk to me about the film that we're talking about, which is Jurassic World Dominion, the new entry into the Jurassic World / Jurassic Park world, the third of the, I guess, what you want to call maybe Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard trilogies. You know, a lot of people already know what's going on here. We got the original three, heroes back in this one as well. Won't go too much into plot because I think people maybe want to be surprised, but the idea is that based again on the ending of the last one, dinosaurs are now kind of with us in the actual full world, and there's some repercussions that come because of that, and what everybody has to do to solve a bit of certain problems, not all the problems.
Very well said. And I must add that I always enjoy our chats about films. This is definitely a motion picture that belongs to our generation because, as you well said, it's the third installment of a trilogy, but it's the sixth film of the entire saga. And it's the saga that belongs to our generation. We were adolescents, kids when it began. And here we are still participating to the evolution of dinosaurs, which almost sounds a play with words to say it in this way. But you tell me, what shall we begin with during our conversation?
Well, let's kick off with your first original thoughts as you were watching the film. What did you come out with once you finished the film?
I liked it more than I expected, especially because of the way I feel it is pertinent to our era. It very well emphasizes the climate crisis. I saw so many parallelisms with the intense animal farming system that is echoed in the way dinosaurs are raised in cages and never see the light of day, or in any case, other species of that specific kind is growing in a very restricted area. I also was very much impressed by the entire conversation about the seeds. So I was intrigued by the agro-ecological debate. I must admit, I'm a great fan of Vandana Shiva, the Indian woman who has been, arguing against the Green Revolution, discussing fertilizers, pesticides, how they've been so detrimental to our planet. And I very much saw her fight against Monsanto mirrored in our protagonist's plight against biosyn.
Well, look, my issue is, it was a much better film than the last one, that's for sure. It serviced what it needed to service. There were their action set pieces that people could scream about if they want. I just think there's too much going on, too many characters that didn't need to be. I mean, I understand they wanted to shoehorn in the original trio and all this other stuff, but it had too much focus going in too many directions, plus the fact that it goes back to relying on yet another big corporation CEO bad guy. There are certain characters who have a redemption arc in this film, which I don't understand how their characters swung to that extreme in this. And because in at least the last one, that character I'm talking about was extremely evil and caused a lot of mayhem and death. But again, it's also a movie where there's that idea that we're now living in a world where dinosaurs are in our habitat. And it basically talks about it in its ending, quote unquote, narration, which is technically a news story. But in the same breath, that's not what we get. We see glimpses of it, but then the majority of the movie takes place in a condensed area that is separated from the rest of the world. This idea should have been all running through cities. There should have been a plot that kept it with the rest of the general public instead of hammering it down to one central location that was cut off from the rest of the world. And there are scenes that are just awfully chopped together in the sense that there's a black market dinosaur scene. We'll call it black market dinosaur scene. I don't know what else to call it for people who haven't seen it yet, which is very confusing because 4 people enter into this black market and then 2 seconds later, 2 of them are somewhere else. And one of them is talking to people in ways that make no absolute sense for any story, even if it was real life, the way they're interacting. It was just it was honestly a bit of a jumbled mess overall, altogether.
I see. I enjoyed this jumbled mess, and I wanted to add two things regarding the topics you said. As regards the setting, the idea of the entertainment park that uses animals also I found very timely and in line with our times, because of course nowadays, fortunately, there's much of a debate against circuses, zoos, the marine mammal parks, as opposed perhaps to those eco-certified sanctuaries where wildlife can roam about freely. So I thought, this Jurassic World Dominion very much brought that conversation to the table. And as regards what you were saying in concerns to the narrative, without giving too much away, I loved this double crisscross of storylines that were intertwining. So we have the old guard confronting the younger generation. Of course, we have Owen Grady and Claire Dearing who are growing together, the teenage Maisie Lockwood. And on the other hand, we have Dr. Ellie Sattler, who is joining forces with the old friends, Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm, who are the icons of Jurassic Park. And I don't know, I liked this jumble, the older generation helping the new one. And I enjoyed this mishmash.
I think the jumble comes more from, again, smaller things that add up, like this restricted level area of this, we'll say, research facility that's much more than that, where it's so restricted that apparently, I guess, only 2 or 3 people are ever supposed to be down there. And it's easily accessed with a wristband given to somebody that should not have access in the first place, and then given to somebody else so they can access it. And so, like, this elevator opens, and every time it opens, no matter who's going down, there's an automated voice saying, level 6, restricted. Why does the computer even need to let them know it's restricted? And if it's so restricted and so important that nobody goes down there, there should be guards the minute the doors open. It's just flimsy. It's every movie does. Most movies do this, and then it's just like there are obviously cameras everywhere, and they make a effort to mention that when something big happens in that section, nobody noticed it because something else was happening somewhere else in this facility. But the fact that two other people have been randomly walking down in there, no matter what they were wearing, should have been noticed by somebody if this is such a highly restricted and highly covert operation. And to also go back to the whole Monsanto / Biosyn comparison, yes, it's obvious, but the very first time it's brought up in the movie should have been proof enough for what's going on. They didn't need to go do this whole covert operation to get something else, because literally she says, I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen, until people see it, but it's literally, it's just like, this happened to this happened to this, and this didn't happen to this because it's Monsanto, technically. It's like, what else evidence do you need? And now I'm going to calm down on my getting angry about things. And I will say, though, that what I really did enjoy over everything was the fact of the overall massive abundance of practical animatronic dinosaurs in this thing. There's a lot of actual physical things that people were interacting with, throughout the film. And I really appreciated that. And then there was a lot of times just like, oh, let me take me home. Let me take you home with me. That being said, now I want to go back to being angry again. All these things are flooding into me. I apologize for ranting now.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
But there are human characters and dinosaur characters that act like what I will equate to the Hulk in the first Avengers movie. Because the Hulk is supposed to, at that point, the Hulk in that universe was like, don't get him mad. He can't control it. He'll hit you. He'll hit everybody. Then all of a sudden at the end, he's just like, yeah, I'm a team player, with no explanation. Same thing happens with both human and dinosaur characters in this movie, where 1 minute they're attacking people, the next minute they're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Yeah, we're buddies now. Sorry, I'll stop.
No, I mean, I do understand your resentment towards certain details that do sort of give away a bit of naivety in the way the story is being told. It somehow is spoon feeding audiences, telling them, oh, okay, be alert because our characters are going where they're not supposed to be going, or this and this is happening. So it's sort of giving instructions to spectators, and that can at times be a little tedious. Yet again, as you said, the dinosaurs are magnificent. So it really brings back that child spirit within us and wanting to wander in that magical dimension. And I must say, regards the setting, it's also a very intriguing and captivating globe-trotting situation, because you pass from the snow-capped mountains of the north of the United States to Malta to the Italian Alps. So there we go, we have a connection. Yep. And now I have a little curiosity that I wanted to ask you. What did you think about the villain, Campbell Scott, playing Lewis Dodgson, which I thought was also an intriguing name because it's a bit of a contraction of Lewis Carroll and Charles Dodgson, which was the real name. And what I wanted to ask you is, don't you think they tried to emulate the figure of Tim Cook from Apple?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of what will not necessarily just big tech, but there are a lot of personalities in the world. We can maybe do a little bit of a Musk in there too if we're thinking about it. You know, and yeah, I mean, I get it. It was there. I just thought, again, just another evil CEO, ultimately at the end of the day, where's like, and I don't think that's giving anything away to people, you know, even though they try to hide it for about 5 minutes in the movie. But it's just whether the comparisons were worthy or well done. And I always loved Campbell Scott. I've always loved him. So it's great to see him and stuff. But like, this was just, you know, it was so kind of like vanilla as far as villains go. And you know, I don't mean to veer away also from what you asked, but you keep now thinking about it, reminds me of other things, like because they shoehorn in so many references to the older films, because I'm remembering him trying to escape at the end of the movie and all of the references there. I almost imagine that somewhere hidden in the park, whether it was intentional or not, if you look closely enough, you'll see Sam Jackson's severed arm somewhere with the amount of stuff they shoehorned into this movie. And, you know, again, there are things that, you know, that I will go back and say, yeah, hey, at least they now have, for the first time in one of these movies, or maybe not for the first time, I honestly can't remember, but very prominently for the first time, dinosaurs with feathers, even though there's just 2 of them and it's random. But, you know, I think even for the stuff that was sewn up at the end, it's not, everything was, the explanations for things were just so brief and so quick that I don't even know if they gave explanations. Some things don't need explanations, don't get me wrong, but other things I think do. And it felt too much like a cheesecloth, just holes all over the place.
Really? Wow. Well, no, I share your opinion in the fact that it's been more of a diverse Jurassic Park, Jurassic World experience. We have more of a multicultural cast, and also there's more diversity within the dinosaurs, as you said. So it is becoming more inclusive. Contrarily to you, I find it, you know, a very delightful blockbuster. So I enjoyed it.
I will ask one more question before I ask for your final grade, because maybe it's me. Because as we're reintroduced to Sam Neill as Alan Grant, he's on a dig. Traditional, they're digging up dinosaur bones. Why are they still doing that?
Because they need the connection to the past. You know, the aficionados, the great fans of the first film needed that little element to lighten up the sparkle of nostalgia. I think that is what we needed. I mean, I got moved when I saw him still dusting the bones and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm a kid again. I
mean, what are they going to learn from it? Why are they doing it? They have the dinosaurs with them now.
That is what I think is, you know, the special trait about this film. It projects you into the future, but then it looks with a kind heart also to the past.
So what would your final grade be?
I would give it, can I give it a B++? I mean, it doesn't make it to an A, but I was quite enthusiastic.
You go A-. B++.
Not quite there. B++. Got
it. I'm gonna have to definitely go with a C again. And I'm not saying that makes it a bad movie. I didn't think for all of my ranting and all of my distaste in certain sections, it serviced what it needed to service, but I don't see it as anything I would want to sit and necessarily watch again.
Okay. Fair enough.
Chiara, thank you again for being here with us all the way over from Italy.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me.
Till next time, we'll see everybody.
Ciao.